Save time, reduce waste, and prevent messes by using couplers in your piping bags. Here are 4 reasons you need them for cake decorating. First of all, what is a coupler? It's a little piece of plastic that goes inside a piping bag, and then you put the piping tip onto the outside, screwing it on with the ring that comes with the coupler. The coupler holds the tip in place and means you can put it on and remove it from the outside of the bag, instead of having to drop it in through the top of the bag. Why use couplers? The first reason is to be able to use several different piping tips with just one piping bag of coloured frosting. Using some Christmas cakes as examples, I'm using this red frosting with a star-shaped piping tip first, for writing, and then I can just unscrew the coupler ring, take the star tip off, replace it with a small round piping tip, and screw the coupler ring back on to secure it. Now I can achieve a different style of lettering, and also pipe details like this reindeer's nose. And I can change again from this round tip to a petal tip, to pipe a ribbon and a bow on a gift box cake, and then change to a leaf tip to pipe the petals of a poinsettia flower. I've used just one bag of coloured frosting with 4 different piping tips, without needing to change piping bags each time. I teach how to make all of these Christmas cakes in another YouTube tutorial, and the link is at the top of the screen and in the video description. The second reason for using couplers is to be able to use one piping tip with several bags of frosting. For this string of Christmas lights, I'm using just one small round piping tip, but I'm switching it between bags so that I can make multicoloured lights. After each colour, just unscrew the coupler ring, lift the piping tip off, put it onto a coupler on a different piping bag, and screw it on. You could wash and dry the piping tip in between colours, or you can just squeeze the old colour through the tip into a bowl until the new colour comes through, and then pipe onto the cake. By using couplers, instead of having to squeeze the frosting out of the piping bag to reach the tip and take it out to use in a different bag, you can take the piping tip off from the outside of the bag, which is much quicker. If you have a few piping tips, you've probably got some standard-sized ones, like a 1M star tip, and some smaller ones, like a petal tip or an open star tip. When you cut the end of a piping bag to fit a standard-sized tip like this 1M, it fits snugly and pipes perfectly until you try to use the same bag for any of your smaller tips. The smaller tips will fall straight through, or even worse, they'll fit at first, but with a bit of pressure on the piping bag, they'll pop out while you're in the middle of decorating, making a mess or, worst-case scenario, exploding onto your cake and ruining the decorating. The solution? Couplers. If your piping bag is cut to fit a standard size tip, when you want to use a smaller tip in it, just drop a coupler into the bag first, attach the smaller tip to the outside, screw it on, and voila! The last reason for using couplers is for reusing frosting. When you finish with a piping bag, you could squeeze the frosting out through that tiny piping tip hole, which takes forever. Or, if you're using a coupler, just take the piping tip off and squeeze the frosting through the much bigger coupler hole instead. Much quicker. Now you can store the leftover frosting in the fridge for 2 weeks or the freezer for 2 months, or you can reuse leftover buttercream by recolouring it. I hope these tips have been useful. Check out my online course, The Basics of Buttercream, where I teach how to make the perfect buttercream, how to flavour and colour it, use it for piping and for perfectly smooth frosting on cakes, and how to achieve all sorts of unique cake decorating techniques. Go to my cake school on britishgirlbakes.com and join my Club Plus for access to every master course, mini course, live workshop, and 5-Minute Fridays. The link is at the top of the screen and in the video description. Thanks for watching.